Hello and welcome to Radical Disruption. Today's episode is with Tara Zercher. Tara is an advertising expert and founder of Successful Ads Club, a high-touch support membership of business owners who receive step-by-step trainings to master their own lead generation. Passionate about demystifying Facebook ads, Tara helps thousands of online experts who are overwhelmed or skeptical to confidently learn paid advertising and infinitely scale their businesses. In this episode, we dive into how to run ads in your business with a tiny budget and the do's and don'ts of running ads. Let's dive into the conversation. Hello, I have Tara here with me, and Tara and I actually had the opportunity to meet in person at a little networking event a few months ago. And she came up to me and we introduced ourselves. And I was like, wait a second, you look really familiar. I was like, what do you do? And she's like, I do ads. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just was looking at your Instagram account. It was a few days prior to the event. And so it was fate that we met each other. And actually, just a few weeks ago, I dived into her membership, the Successful Ads Club. And so I'm very excited to be bringing Tara here onto the podcast because she is absolutely amazing. But I'm going to turn it over to her to talk a little bit more about your story. I would love to know, Tara, what is your entrepreneur story? How did you get started? And where are you currently at today?
Yay. Oh, well, I'm so excited to be here, Maya. And like so many people probably listening in right now, I had a bazillion little businesses as kids through college, had many different iterations of agency. And eventually within one of my marketing agencies, one of our clients had a very, very large budget and venture-backed startup, and they had asked me to run organic social for them. So starting in the same world as you, right? And then they said, but actually, once we got in there, a couple of weeks later, they're like, well, actually, we want you to run ads and forget about organic. And I was like, no, 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 no. I am organic marketing. This is my thing. And they're like, yeah, you're going to learn ads. Very long story short, ended up doing a decent job, good enough that Facebook actually noticed and called me one day and said, what are you doing? Because you're outperforming all of your competitors. What's your strategy? So they were asking me all of the info. And what was happening behind the scenes was I had to go in with their investors and answer all these really, really difficult questions about how I was running the ads and why. And I got so tired of being embarrassed by not knowing the answers as to why I was running ad A versus ad B that I developed a airtight system on A/B testing and advertising. And we were getting phenomenal results. And I then wondered to myself, I wonder what would happen if I took this same strategy to all the other clients that we work with. So I started doing that, rolling that out, seeing incredible success. And I was like, wow, and now that I've seen the power of advertising, I cannot go back. We shut down all the other services that we had, which is scary to do. And every business owner is going to come to a place where they have to launch new products and shut down old ones. That was significant revenue streams for us at the time.
Yeah.
And within a few months of doing that, we had completely replaced that income and our ads business started to explode. Did ads agency work for a long time. And then we introduced a training and membership because at that point we had so many people booking one-on-one calls with me. And they were expensive calls and they were all covering the exact same thing. I was like, man, if I could just put this into a format and teach people, I could save them so much money and so much time. The thing about ads with saving money and time is this isn't okay, go YouTube a strategy and DIY it. And if it doesn't work, it was just a waste of your time. No, when you're talking about ads, it's well, yeah, you may have wasted $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 with that strategy.
Yeah.
And that's what I just kept seeing over and over and over again was that kind of not only time wasting, but incredible money wasting. Yeah. And I was like, I can do this better. And so we did. We've had 5,000 business owners and marketers learn ads from us since that time. So it's been really exciting.
I love that. What is the time frame on all of this? When you very first started your first business versus when you started your agency versus when you transitioned into just doing ads and then education?
Yeah. Okay. So ads and education, we started 5 years ago and we started with a membership model. Now we have a much more structured program. We started with a membership model, had our first 100 members in our first 30, 60 days. I'd have to go back and look at that time frame, but that was Amazing. Before that, I had agency. My goodness, I was agency owner, and then before that, freelance writer for just years. So I would say, like, officially all in the digital marketing world, like 10 years. But then before that, many iterations of a lot of things all through college and those years.
I love that. When you launched in your online offerings, were you what brought in those 100 members? Was it
Yeah.
that you were running ads to
No.
membership, or
So
how was that?
it was hustle, organic, reaching out to people. Also, it was a bit novel at the time. It's like a membership, all about ads. So it was a little bit more novel than I would say membership models are now. However, we reached out stuff that I don't think would work and definitely does not, if it does work, does not work as well. I reached out to every single Facebook friend that had a business. I was like, hey, I'm launching this thing and would you be interested in joining? And here's like a killer promotional deal. Reached out to every mentor I had and asked them if they would share it in their communities. It was like a lot of hustle. And you know what? We actually had a ton of success from doing joint Facebook Lives, including with many of my agency friends who were like, yeah, we don't have anything like this. Or even one of our friends, they did have a course actually on ads, but they're like, our course is designed more for this niche and you're serving like this audience. And so we'd love to do that with you. I hustled, I asked everybody, and that's how we got it. And that is what like, and then I didn't grow it. I sat on it because I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to like answering all of these beginner questions on ads like over and over and over again. So I
Yeah.
didn't promote it, didn't talk about it for 6 months. And at the end of 6 months, because I was just doing like an energetic check on myself.
Yeah.
So I've got this huge agency. I do not need like distractions. But
Yeah.
if this is going to become a thing and I like it, 6 months later, I was like, whoa, I am so obsessed with this. I actually like this work the most.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, we're going to promote it. During that time, I had been saving a ton of cash on the side because I was like, well, if we're going to promote it, we're going big with ads.
Yeah.
So I had like a nice cushion to like just go strong. And that's
Yeah.
what we did.
I love that so much. I love the hustle. I love that you're like, no, I was like doing reach outs. I was doing lives. I love that because I think, especially nowadays, like when I see people have, oh, like we had this very successful launch of 100 students and all we did was post 3 times. And I'm like, wait, what? But I love that I love the transparency there. Something that you talked about with your transition where you were when that company asked you to start running ads and you were doing organic content, you're like, wait a second, like organic is my thing. I would love to know, what are your thoughts on organic versus paid marketing in a business? Like what place do those two things have?
Very cyclical. And I've seen this cycle several times now in digital, right? Where organic is more important, less important, more important, less important. And right now, I mean, we are talking like right now, where we're at in the economy, things have shifted. And I would say that I'll just share all of my peers, all of my colleagues are like, man, we've been like relying on ads for so long. And now it's time to get serious about organic. Like, where's our people? What are our channels? So I think that there are cycles to this. And I
Okay.
would say right now there is as much importance on organic as there is on ads. Whereas I think in the last few years, people just went really, really heavy on ads. You almost didn't need to have organic if you had the budget,
Yeah.
if you had that big, huge, amazing, caveat there, if you had the budget.
Yeah.
And now I would say that is definitely shifting back to you better have some organic to back up that ad strategy unless you're okay to spend a little bit more, a little bit more. Organic will help bring down your ad costs for sure in ways that we haven't seen as much in previous years.
Why do you think that is, in terms of, is it consumer behavior? People aren't as interested in ads right now. Is it due to election season? Is it due to
Yeah.
ads costing more money because of elections? Why do you think that is?
Yeah. I think this is probably like a 2 to 3 year cycle.
Okay.
And the number one, the platforms have changed significantly. Significantly. So, where before it was friends posting on Instagram, now there's very little personal content. And Instagram has reported on this in so many ways over the last couple of years. Like, they want people to post personal updates. They're not doing it because the platform itself has become very oriented towards creators and influencers.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that's like a whole shift in what the platform is and has become.
Okay.
And people are expecting like more creator and influencer content, especially from the businesses that they are buying from, right? The other thing I think is that so consumer behavior has changed, platforms have changed, and then I would say the ads have changed too. Ads have become much more, and don't get me wrong, ads are huge. Like our private clients are spending anywhere from 50 to 250,000 a month on ads, and that's a small budget, by the way. That's not like huge in Facebook world. That's like
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle. That's still a pretty small budget. And not to say, in my opinion, with our members, $100 a month is sometimes a big budget for people.
Yeah.
But with the agency side, with what we do for private clients, like that's just where things are.
Yeah.
And you can grow very, very quickly. I think if you have the two together, it is just rocket fuel. And a great example is thinking one of our recent members who, actually, I'm thinking of a couple of our recent members who just recently went from like 5,000 a month on ads. And just because they've seen the growth
Mm-hmm.
in their customer base, they're closing in on 15, 20,000 a month now in their ads. And guess what? They're just going to keep growing that as their customer base grows, because every single month that represents that much more revenue to them. So that's how you want to think about it. I would say if you're going to start one, you and I would have different opinions. Ads to me is the easiest, quickest
Yeah.
way. But if you don't have budget, you got to go organic.
Yeah.
Those are your options.
Something that I have always wanted to ask an ads expert, because I've seen this with a few of my actual personal one-on-one coaching clients that have ran ads in the past. So, do you think that running ads hurts your organic
Ooh.
growth?
Okay, I personally do not. As long as you're not boosting too much of your organic content.
Okay.
So if you're doing true proper ads, you're really not even touching your organic content. You might recycle some of it into your ads.
Yeah.
But where I see the most problems with that is when people boost like too much of their organic content, and then it's
Yeah.
almost like their algorithm, their results are dependent on that ads budget.
Yeah.
So when you're doing true proper backend ads, it's almost like you're in a different algorithm, you're in a different channel entirely.
Okay.
Yes, it's mixing into the newsfeed, but it's not impacting like your organic. I think if you are taking too much of your organic and putting ads budget on it, yes, you're going to see some shifts. They might not all be negative, but you're definitely going to see some dependency built and some shifts there.
So you haven't noticed with any of your clients who might have done organic, then they started doing paid ads, and then maybe they stopped doing paid ads for a season. Maybe they just did paid ads for a launch, that it hurt their organic growth. You haven't seen that?
We haven't seen that as long as they're doing their ads again properly. Back end
Yes.
advertising, yes. Have you? Have you seen that?
I have, but also too, it's hard to say whether or not it was specifically their ads, or because most of the time, I think of one client specifically who came to me and she had built her business solely off of running ads. And it got to the point where I think she was running these ads by herself. And I also know little to nothing about ads. We'll just put that out there right now. But I think she was running her own ads, and she came to me because she's, hey, my ads are not converting anymore. Like, I want to start selling more organically. And so I think she came to me having had, and she was posting organic content. She had a very, very large following, but I don't think that her audience was used to her selling, because she wasn't selling on like through her like Instagram account. She was just making money through her ads. And so I think that that might have been the disconnect there, was like her audience on Instagram, though it was a very, very large audience. I'm talking like 500,000 followers.
Yeah.
People expected free things from her and not necessarily paid content or paid offers, because I think she was making money solely through her ads. So I was just curious to know. And again, I think that there's a lot of different factors that play into that. I think that there might be someone out there who might believe that happens, but also I'd say, you know, I would want to look into, are you selling through your organic content as well? Because if you're not, and you've built this audience of freebie seekers, then obviously that's going to hurt, because those people are not necessarily, it's going to take a while to prime that audience to be ready to purchase from you if you stop running ads. So I was just curious. But I would love to know your thoughts though on boosting versus like actually running ads? Because I hear a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I'm boosting my content and it's working really well for me. What are your thoughts on boosting posts?
Okay, so if you are looking, okay, so think of the advertising algorithm as different streams of traffic.
Okay.
And if you are wanting, so it used to be like back when I started advertising, honestly, boosted posts, they were growing a ton of businesses, an absolute ton of businesses. And a few years ago, that stopped working as well. And that's because the algorithm evolved into this kind of streams of traffic sort of situation. So if you want people who are giving emails, phone numbers, or credit cards transactions, right? Then you want to do ads that are called type of ad called conversion ads. If
Okay.
you want people who are just clicking to your blog, perhaps your podcast, you can do a type of ad called traffic ads. But from those, they're cheap traffic, but you would not expect emails, opt ins, things like that. And then if you want people to mostly engage with your posts, follow you, and perhaps even DM you, then boosted posts is where you want to be. So, what I like to say is boosted posts can be effective. I wouldn't spend more than 10% of your budget on boosting posts.
Okay.
They can be very effective if you combine it with conversion ads. So, this is where you're getting that initial engagement from a boosted post, and then you're combining it with either retargeting, well, different ways of doing it, but conversion ads, where now you're turning that engagement into actual emails, phone numbers, and credit card transactions, leads and purchases, right? Depending on what kind of business you have. Obviously, we all want purchases, but sometimes you start with the lead and sometimes you're going straight, like e-com, for example, straight to purchase. That's how we structure our ad accounts for our clients. And that is hands down the best success that they have ever seen from ads is when you structure it that way. So that's what I would say to that. So 10% of your budget boosting posts, 80% of your budget. And these numbers we customize depending on your industry, niche, and funnel type, but most of your ads spend about 80% to conversion ads, 10% to retargeting. Sometimes we'll adjust that. Maybe it's 30% retargeting and you bring down your conversion ads, but that's all custom to every individual account.
I love that. So people who are listening, most of this audience, people are at the beginning stages of their business. They don't have a huge budget. They probably haven't even tapped into ads because obviously my community, I teach organic growth and organic content and organic sales. So what would you say are some things that people need to have in place before getting started with paid ads to make sure that they've set themselves up in a way where they're going to be pretty successful with paid ads from the get-go?
Yeah. Okay. So the things that you need to have in place, number one, let's talk budget. And people are very surprised, but I'm telling you, we built countless, hundreds of accounts with this exact same budget framework. $10 a day minimum to start if you're building for leads. If you're e-commerce, that would be a formula depending on the price of your actual product. So $10 if you're collecting leads and maybe you're growing a digital course business or something like that. $10 a day will get you started. Now, we have talked to so many folks in the online education industry, especially who are like, when should you start that? Like day zero. Because if you can be building, and so for example, within our company, we have a little test account that has a $10 a day strategy. And I do this so I can show people what $10 a day looks like. And that collects about 300-ish leads per month. And so I would just say, if you are not collecting 100 to 300 leads per month organically, but you could do that with $10 a day on ads, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you give your business that head start and just start doing that? And then you see, okay, that's scaling beautifully. What is $20 a day? And you just you start scaling as you grow your sales. Very
Yep.
important. You scale as you grow sales, right? You don't scale before sales start coming in. That's a good starting place is, okay, if you can't do a couple hundred leads per month organically on your own, you know you can do it with ads. You know that $10 a day strategy that we teach takes less than 10 minutes per month to maintain. That's a really good investment of time and budget. And most people, even those who are maybe sub 6 figures in revenue, most people can find 300 a month in their marketing budget. Now, if you're really, truly, truly, truly just starting out, then maybe you wait until you have maybe your pre-revenue. You
Yeah.
might want to wait till you have revenue coming in the door before you start running ads budget. But I would say the sooner the better. Get that going. 10 minutes a month, $10 a day, great starting place. The next thing you need to have in place is an offer. And I know, Maya, you probably go into this a lot with your audience. You can't just run ads to your website. Like
Yeah.
that's not the, no, you can't do that. What you want to be doing is running ads to a lead magnet. And the best types of lead magnets that we see, hands down by far, are less like ebooks and guides and things like that, although those can be very impactful, but more so templates, tools, formulas, cheat sheets, checklists, things of that nature tend to be a little bit more powerful in
Yeah.
terms of your return, both in terms of what you're going to spend.
You're
Sorry,
good. You're good. We
here,
can
puppy.
go.
Both in terms of what you're going to spend, but also then on the return within your funnel.
I am currently running ads based off of what I've learned from your offer to a template. And it is, I, again, still am like very basic knowledge when it comes to ads, but I have started making money on it. And that is, I just posted it up there and I did tweak things one time, but I actually haven't had time just with summer vacations and all that to go back in. And it's working really well. I think that my cost per lead right now is like only 78 cents. And I have had, again, I've made money. I've broke even plus made more money, which is really, really awesome. And I think I've had 500 emails added to my email list just from that. And that's all happening passively. And again, that's me having base, this is probably like below base level knowledge, but I'm getting there through your offer. I'm getting there. But I just wanted to say that yes, templates are actually working really, really well for me right now. But I would be curious to know on your end, when you say 10 minutes for $10 a day, what is that 10-minute? Where's that coming from? What are you using? What are you doing in that 10 minutes?
Okay, so let me lay a little bit more foundation there. As you spend more, your ads start taking more time. So inside of Successful Ads, one of the first thing we do is we put people through a really cool little spreadsheet and we have them put in their experience level and how much they want to spend each month. And it shows them exactly how long will it take to learn the skill
Yep.
and how much time should you spend per month maintaining, right?
Yep.
And if you are, and as you grow your budget, your ads can fatigue more often, right?
Mm,
So if you're spending, let's just say, I don't know, $300 a day. Okay. So
yeah.
now you're getting up to 10,000-ish a month, 9,000 a month. If you're spending $300 a day, you're going to be spending a few hours that month on your ads, like probably 6, 7, 8 hours, something like that. Maybe a little bit less, probably 5 hours actually. And if you are spending $10 a day, you might spend an hour total every few months. And that's
Okay.
where it breaks down to about that 10 minutes per month, right? So Maya, in your example, you're probably not spending very much time each month looking at that. And you
No.
probably don't need to because your ads are not getting out to the millions of people that it would need in
Yeah.
order to start fatiguing. Does
Yep.
that make sense?
Yep.
So basically, the more you spend, the more time you're going to spend. And that is why our rule of five, that's where our rule of five comes into play. So until you're spending about 5,000 per month, and I said rule of 5K, till you're spending about 5,000 a month, it honestly rarely makes sense to your bottom line to outsource ads.
Mm,
And that is just because it takes so little time.
yeah.
It just takes so little time. And that is why also most ads managers will say, we don't even accept clients until they're spending 5, 10,000 a month because it's not worth their time either. And it's not worth what they're going to bill you. And there's a lot of variation in what I just said, but for the most part, that's where things are at. So
Yeah.
if you're spending under 5,000 a month, that's going to take you less than a couple hours or a few hours. Why wouldn't you just do that yourself and save all that money over outsourcing it? The 10 minutes per day is on a $10 a day strategy. Ads, they're not fatiguing very often.
Yeah.
And so what I'm doing is I'm going in, I'm looking at the 4 KPIs that we always gauge all campaigns by. All of our members gauge their campaigns by these KPIs. If we see one of those KPIs is out of range, then we will go in and either adjust copy, visuals, perhaps do an audience test or two. And that's
Yeah.
pretty much all there is. Honestly, there's not enough work on $10 a day to spend much more time than that.
Yeah.
Once you get into larger budgets, there's a lot more testing and things you do to maintain the numbers you want to maintain. But even under 1,000 a day, there's nothing really to maintain. You're looking at 4 numbers. You're seeing if any of them are out of range. If one of those numbers is out of range, the most you could possibly spend would be a couple minutes fixing it.
Yeah.
So it's easy. It's just easy. And that's why we love it.
What are those 4 numbers that you're looking at and those
Yeah.
ranges?
Okay, so first number is your cost per result. You want to make sure that's within range for your account. We also have ranges for, because not a lot of people will do this, but we now have seen inside of thousands of ad accounts.
Yeah.
And so we have very specific ranges that we want you to be in based on your industry, niche, and funnel type. So you'll know if you're overspending on your ads, right? That should be a, $4 lead, not a $8 lead sort of a thing. So cost per result. Next thing is your CTR link click-through rate. And by the way, if you don't know what any of these metrics are, where they're located, you would know within 10 minutes. We have that. That's the first thing we train you on. But your CTR link click-through rate, we want to see that above 1%. If that's under 1%, it means your messaging is off. So something about your visuals or your copy is not resonating with your audience. Next thing we want to look at is your CPM under $42. CPM is your cost per 1,000 impressions. It's how much Facebook is charging your credit card, whether or not you get conversions. And we want to see that under $42. If it's over that, you have a trigger word in your ad copy, your visuals, on your landing page, or in your URL. And so oftentimes, if you just find the trigger word, take out the trigger word, your ad costs will go down significantly. So there's that final thing.
Trigger words.
Trigger words. Okay, so there's a whole list of them. We have a massive master list of these. Things that you might expect, especially in today's climate, such as gender pronouns can be a trigger word people don't think of. So calling all female entrepreneurs. I would never say that in an ad anymore. You used to be able to call those things out, but now you just want your ads to be, if you're trying to target female entrepreneurs, just make your ads a little bit more feminine, but don't call out gender pronouns, things like that. Age, gender, even the words you and your can be problematic depending how you use them in your ads. And that's because Facebook doesn't want people to feel called out. Like, are you sick and tired? Okay, this is, hopefully no one would ever be this bold. Are you sick and tired of feeling lonely on Friday nights, right? Ooh, I don't like that Facebook or Instagram knows that about me. But if your ad were to say, isn't it time to feel connected and happy and have plans on Friday night? It's like, oh, how does Facebook know that about me? There's a difference between feeling called out and feeling like, wow, this is like really relevant to exactly what I want in my life.
Yes.
So you gotta be careful with that. And then there's like niche specific. If you're in financial, Maya, you're in Instagram and Facebook world. Like you even have some specific ones with being careful with the words Facebook and Instagram, for example. So there's lots of like nuance depending on your industry. And we have just a master list of what you need to be careful of.
I love that. I think I interrupted you before your fourth.
Okay, where were we at? Is it CPM? Oh, okay. And then your landing page conversion rate. So let me give you the ranges here. So if your landing page, and Maya, do you have, I'll just give the full range. Okay. If you are e-commerce, I don't know if you have any e-com in your world.
Yes.
Okay. So e-com, I want your starting conversion rate on your store to be 1 to 3%. And I want it pushing up towards 3 to 5%. And you can definitely get those ranges up towards 10%. We work with a ton of clients that have ranges like that. It's a lot of A/B testing, but it is possible. If you are collecting calls, consultations, free quotes, things like that, then I want to see anywhere starting like 5 to 7% on your landing page and eventually A/B testing your way to 10% plus. If you are collecting emails, so you're building lists, your email list, things like that, maybe your SMS list, I want to see 30% plus. There's no reason you can't get beyond 50%. So that's A/B testing your way there. But just remember, as your landing page converts better and better and better, your ad costs go down significantly.
Yeah.
And one landing page test could be the difference between a $4 lead, maybe it goes to a $2 lead. But you know what? Over the course of your budget, that's a significant amount of additional leads if you are A/B testing, getting better, and your ads are getting cheaper.
I love that. I am someone who I love like the detective work of like, oh, okay, this isn't working. So what does that mean? And going and figuring that out. And I love that about ads. Like it has been so fun for me to learn ads because it is just, it's a numbers game where it's okay, if this amount of traffic is coming here, but then I'm not converting into leads, then what is it? And then I'm like tweaking things. But something that I have realized with running ads, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit more, but it all comes down to how good you are at knowing the people that you want to speak to, like through your messaging, not just through your ad copy, but also through the way that you're positioning. Let's say you're leading traffic to a lead magnet. And then also, what is the, I guess, like sales page, or I guess it would be a landing page for that lead magnet and the copy that you're using there. Can you talk a little bit more about the power of copy and some things that you see people go wrong when it comes to creating ad copy, and then also some things that you would highly suggest like focusing on when it comes to ad copy as well?
Yes. In fact, so all of ad copy and visuals are A/B testing, right? Different messages and whatnot. The cool thing is because so many of our audience today is focused on organic traffic, you actually have a lot of signals that will play really well into advertising because you're seeing the engagement, you're seeing the results on the back end of which types of messages and messaging angles are working for your people.
Yeah.
And so I would pull those top performers 100% over into your ads because that's going to shortcut a lot of your A/B testing there. And remember, with ads, you're spending money. So organic, you're spending time. You might be spending money too if you've got a team working on organic for you. But with ads, you're spending legitimate cold hard cash on your A/B testing. So the quicker you can shortcut that and
Yeah.
get to the right messaging, the better. So I would pull from your organic as a starting point. If you are not even sure with organic where to go, if you are a member inside of our system, we've done all that testing across tens and tens of millions of dollars of ad spend. And so we have all the templates and things like that, copy formulas basically, because there's certain copy formulas that are just proven to work. So the thing that I would say you always want to do, hook. You even in ads, you can insert content that's valuable. That's not to say you have to in every single ad, but your hooks are the most important, followed by a little bit of content that can be value add content. It can also just be here's what you're going to learn type of content, and then always the call to action. That is nuanced depending on other business types too. So if you've got maybe a business that's a little bit more local, then
Yeah.
there's certain copy formulas that we always recommend for local businesses. Same for e-com, same for service-based providers. But if you're growing an online email list, let's say, and you're driving people to a lead magnet, that hook is probably your most important piece. And then followed by your headline, making sure you have your call to action. That's kind of where to think about with those elements.
I love that. And when it comes to the A B testing, are you always A B testing? And is it mainly A B testing copy, or are there other things? Because you've talked a lot about A B testing. What role does that play? And is it a constant role, or is it just getting you to a place where you have those four metrics in the right ranges?
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things there. Number one, we're always A/B testing, always, always. But we do a lot of the A/B testing for our students just so we can say, okay, we've tested these 10 things. These are the two things you're going to test. And we're testing across tons of industries and different niches and funnel types and all of that good stuff. So we are always testing. We always want our members to be testing as well, but we set them up on a monthly sort of testing hygiene and maintenance cycle. It's really simple. Like I said, a few minutes a month. And basically, testing audiences, testing copy, testing visuals. Those are your main elements right now with Facebook. There used to be a lot more kind of technique to Facebook ads and things that you could test to outgame the algorithm, outsmart the algorithm.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to do that anymore. So the algorithm is now so sophisticated, so good, honestly. It makes it so much easier for folks to get into advertising. And from there, the sophistication really is in your creative elements. So advertising is cool. And you probably feel this way a lot about organic, although I feel like organic might have even more creativity sometimes. But advertising is equal parts data, equal parts artist. So it's the creative elements. And I find that to be so fun. And if you lean one way, a little bit one way or the other, that's okay because that will play to your strengths.
Yeah.
I would say I'm probably right divided in the middle, but like some of my best team members are a little bit more artistic or a little bit more data driven. They
Yeah.
get insane results too. It will play to those strengths really nicely. But it is fun because you can put your quote unquote art out into the world, have this immediate data to back it up,
Yeah.
and it will show you exactly what to test and what to test next. You just have to know how to interpret it.
When you, because you have tested so much with all of your clients and your students, have you found that right now, because I'm sure it has changed over the years, that there's a certain format of content that is working really well? Is it more of like the picture content or the video content, or does it depend on industry?
Yeah, very industry dependent, but here's what I will say, which is fascinating. 60%, and this is speaking generally, so not individual account level or anything like that, about
Yeah.
60% of conversions are still driven by static images.
Hmm.
Yep. Which is,
Interesting. That is
yep,
very, very surprising. I definitely would have thought that it would have been video, just because
yep.
video content organically is so much more popular than static content.
100%. And that is not to say that there are, I mean, I can think of several accounts right now. We've tried every type of static video out there on this planet or imagery, and
Yeah.
it's video every single time for us. Okay, absolutely. And your account, by the way, speaking to everyone listening, your individual account is going to have, it's almost like having a child. It's your individual personality, preferences, things that it's very sensitive to, things that will cause your ads to get rejected, whereas all your competitors are saying the exact same thing and
Yeah.
their ads are fine. So there's a lot of nuance in all of this. But from a general data perspective, what we see is about 60% still driven by static imagery. Well, that's cool because it gives you the opportunity to make your ads really low maintenance if you're not
Yep.
having to produce videos. And for those that feel nervous about being on camera, I'm sure you are constantly dealing with this with your audience. And I, me too. Like, very,
Yeah.
it's a skill. It's not a tough skill. It's an easy skill, but it's one that requires a mindset shift to get into being on camera. And so for those who are just like don't want to do it, or it's not a personal brand or whatever it is you're building, that's always very like relieving for people to know. And then when it comes to video, I would say some of the top performing video, number one, UGC content for sure. And online course creators, for some reason, think that's like for ecom. No, you can definitely do some UGC with student testimonials and things like that.
Yeah.
UGC being user generated content. So all of the kind of paid influencer content you see everywhere. And then even taking your best performing reels and recycling those into ads can be such an easy win and so good on from the data like results side of things.
Do you find that ads that have like I call them talking reels, but they would obviously be like talking ads where you're talking face to camera, that performs better than other types of video content, like B roll, for example?
I more consistently, yes. I have seen some B-roll kill it, just absolutely kill it. But I would say if I'm looking at what would I recommend just for that I know is your fastest path to winning content,
Yeah.
for sure it's going to be face to camera talking.
I,
That's your most consistent success. There's
yeah.
tons of B-roll that is absolutely killing it. The other type of ad format too, and it requires a little bit of editing, is voiceover
Mm,
with talking head and then B-roll, and then where it just goes back and forth. That can also be really good.
yeah. Anything that's like visually engaging. I love
Yes.
that. So we've talked about copy, we've talked about formats. Something that we also talked about budgeting and how that all works. We haven't talked about audiences and like how to choose audiences. Do you choose huge audiences? Do you choose narrow audiences? What does that look like?
The rules have changed tremendously. So there used to be trends with, okay, now you want audiences that are 500,000 to a million. Now you want 2 to 5 million, whatever. That's all gone. It doesn't matter anymore. In fact, I'll spare you the data behind it, but suffice it to say that audiences are becoming less important, still important, but less so.
Oh,
And more you can allow the algorithm, not for every account, but more and more you can allow the algorithm to just open up. So I'll give you a really great example. We use Advantage Plus audiences a lot inside of our own company. So inside of Successful Ads,
mhm.
and we're looking for a very niche business owner, someone who is spending money on ads that wants to learn how to do them well or start them, do them better, whatever. And we have no targeting, we have no gender, we have no age, and we just let Facebook go and find our people, and they do a great job. That's the beauty of this algorithm. It has made it much more simple with the right strategy to run beautiful ads. That's not going to work for everybody, by the way, but you can test kind of those broader
Yeah.
audiences. Audience size really doesn't impact ads as much, if at all, as it used to. So don't even worry about audience size. If anything, I would say test broad audiences, what I just described, and
Mhm.
then test niche audiences one by one on the interest. So let's say you're targeting, I don't know, let's go Marie Forleo and Amy Porterfield. You're like, wow, those two would be great.
Yeah.
Test one audience that's Amy Porterfield, test a second one that's Marie Forleo. Don't combine them until you see the individual results, and then you can start making little groups of interests. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. That's very, very interesting. I definitely would have thought that audiences would become more important, but I think also too that AI has played a lot of a role in social media, which makes me think about how do you utilize AI as an ads agency, and how can people who are running their own ads use AI to make the process even easier?
Yeah, there's so much you can do, especially from developing imagery, copy, like that kind of thing. If you get into advanced AI, there is like segmentation for audiences that's very cool. But I would say when you're beginning, lean heavily on AI for your ad copy. If you're using ad specific formulas combined with AI, that can be like, ooh, beautiful, beautiful combination there. And for your creative, AI is amazing. Even you can take, there's apps and tools like we love Clap, for example. When we are taking UGC videos, we'll load them through Clap and it will create several iterations for us and caption it all and cut it, give it like a virality score. And it's so
Yeah.
fabulous. There's lots of really cool things you can do with your ad creative that shortcuts your time, makes it almost like effortless and makes it really, really extra easy.
I love that so much. I'm trying to think, is there any other like tips specifically for businesses that have a very, very tiny budget that I don't know, just anything in addition to what you've shared? Because obviously you talked about $10 a day, which is obviously not very much, but just any additional things that you would give advice to for someone who's just getting started with a tiny budget.
Yeah, I would say I'll just share because I think we covered a lot of tactical, but just like a mindset piece. When you are running ads or you're investing in any channel whatsoever, what I find that because ads, people are putting their money on the table and they're saying, I truly believe in my product.
Yeah.
And I have found that when people are like, oh, that wouldn't work for me, it's usually because there's somewhat of a lack of confidence in the product or service.
Mm.
And so I would just say you have got to, and you'll gain this as you get out there and as you see your product or service at work in people's lives,
Yeah.
changing lives, doing what it's supposed to do, like all of that. But you've just got to believe it. Like at some point, you've just got to claim the belief and just say, I know that if I can get more people, more high intent qualified leads to my business, to my service, seeing my services, seeing my products, seeing my offerings, I know that I can have the impact that I want. And so I think whenever you're investing in any new channel, it's having that confidence and that belief. And sometimes you're a little rookie and you don't know. You're a little green. Like you haven't tested this particular product or service and you don't know. And I promise you that you can just claim it. You can claim it, you can own it, you can let it be a little messy. It's okay. Growth is messy. And sometimes you just got to be okay with letting the house be a little messy while you build. That is fine. Yeah, that's what I would say is oftentimes when we're investing in new channels, it's more just a thing of claiming our confidence and owning it. And sometimes that is as simple as making the decision to do just that.
I love that. Okay, my final question for you is if you could go back to day one of your journey and give yourself any one piece of advice, what would it be?
Mine is probably a little bit funny just because this is where I'm at in my business journey. But I would say if it was like from ads perspective, start running ads from day one. I would definitely tell myself that and start growing that email list. But even more than that, I would say take all of your business profit and invest it well and wisely. Now, fortunately, my husband's done a great job of that for us, but I wasn't super active in that process. And in the background, I'm building a business portfolio of offline and online businesses in other industries. And I love it so much that I wish I had done it sooner.
Mm.
So if I could go back 10 years, I would be like, okay, let's take this and invest in XYZ industry that I'm interested in, which right now for me, it would be like, I'm interested in logistics. So I would have said, let's take all of this profit and let's invest in these businesses in logistics. So that would have been my own, that's like very niche personal advice, literally to myself like 10 years ago. But that's what because I'm having so much fun with it. I'm like, man, I wish I had done that sooner.
I love that so much. It's not just about making money. It's like, how can you make your money work for you and like
Yes.
building wealth? And that's a whole different conversation than building income and also generational wealth too. I'm like, I want to close off, but also I want to ask you a little bit more about that because that's just so interesting. And maybe this needs to be a whole nother episode, probably does, but just like briefly, how do you even get into doing something like that? Like, how did you even get started? Because I think for people who are listening, they're like, oh, yeah, like that sounds cool. But there's just like such a big barrier to entry in terms of like knowledge. At least I feel like. So, how would you even get started in investing in these other areas?
Yeah. Okay. So and like my husband, I recognize not everybody is partnered or whatever, but like my husband was like stock market guy. Great, does a great job. But my interest is not the stock market. And although I do follow it and we're highly invested, whatever, this and that, my interest is like building businesses. So also I would say for everyone listening, like you got to take what you're interested in and really develop that within yourself. But if you are interested in like acquisitions, there's tons of people teaching on this. Roland Frazier, Haley Burkhead, Cody Sanchez. Haley does it a little bit more behind the scenes, but I know she's speaking at your event. There's lots of people teaching on it. There's tons of podcasts on it. But I would say just start getting an education there, like generally about other businesses that you could be. I personally, and you also have to know about yourself. Do you love the startup phase or do you love like owning something that's established?
Yeah.
And there's very different pros and cons to both of those. So as you get to build your business, start looking at that within yourself and saying, do I like the startup phase? I personally don't love it. And getting more into established businesses is definitely more appealing to me. And then from there, start learning about it generally. And then I would say start learning about what industries you're interested in. It might be the industry you're already in.
Yeah.
It might be something adjacent to what you are doing, but start getting like industry news specifically on investment types and acquisitions within that world of whatever industry you want to expand to or stay within that specific news as well. I don't
What
know. I'm still learning myself, but I hope that was helpful.
No, that was awesome. I'm actually subscribed to Cody's email list, and lots of great stuff is dropped there, even just in terms of free education. And I think she also has offers too that you can join into that would teach you further into that. But what would you say in terms of the financial side of things? Like you said, you wish that you would have started that sooner. What would that look like in terms of what does that even look like in terms of the amount of money that you're investing in that for someone who is just getting started? What would you say to them, like wait a little bit until you have x amount of revenue coming in, or can you get started with a small budget, or what did that look like?
Yeah. So I would say, obviously, like saving, investing as much as you possibly can. And my husband is super saver. So it says, I've never shared this publicly, but like when we first got married, he was like, we need to save 40% of our income. I was like, what? What? How do you even do that? Like, is that possible? And
Yeah.
that was him, like his whole life. He's like, well, yeah, 40% is like the standard. I don't think so. I like always heard 10%. What is happening? And he would get so frustrated if we couldn't save that much. Stuff
Yeah.
like living expenses going up or whatever. I was like, what? Who? What? Okay. Anyways, once you know him, you'll be like, oh, yes, this all makes perfect sense. And I will say, once you have kids, those numbers can get a lot harder to do. But
Yeah.
so he was just like super saver investor type. But honestly, if I could tell my younger self, because I was like, 10% seems like what everyone tells you, I'd be like,
Yeah.
no, aim for 20, aim for 30, aim for 40. Because especially if you're young, you just look at compounding interest and you'll be, wow. as you get older, you have to do a lot more to
Yep.
create a very secure financial foundation. When
Yeah.
you're younger, you have to do a lot less. So if you can get your numbers 20, 30% saved, if you're just putting it in the stock market, great. You can invest in other businesses and growth opportunities later, but go safe, go really safe. Now, I think so much depends on, doing are you partnered? Do you have your finances combined? What are your goals together? Like all that stuff, right? If you're single, you might have less expenses, but you also might be more in startup mode with your business. And so I would just say get your business on good financial ground. Get those, for us, it was always like savings of 6 to 12 months of just to have for a rainy day. And you will use that, by the way. That rainy day will come, and it will probably come a few times. And there's nothing to feel guilty about. It's going to happen. So just know that you're going to be really grateful for that. And then from there, get good financial advice, good financial advisors. Look at your interests, look at your risk tolerance, and start making some moves. And don't be afraid to make those big moves, because that's what moves the needle big time. But don't be risky. Don't be silly about it.
For sure.
But make your moves and make them early if you can. That's what I would say. But I am not a financial expert.
Yes.
I've had to learn all of this, most of it the hard way. Here's honestly the best advice I would give you. Again, I told you that my husband was a really good saver, really good investor, all of that. So that's like really helpful. If I was left to my own devices, it would not have been as smooth of a journey. I'm going to tell you that straight up. The one thing that I had to learn the very hard way, and if you could learn from me, it would be great, is maximize your profitability. Do not go into business and be low margin. Just don't do it. Maximize your profitability, maximize your investments. Of course, you want to build a team, pay your team well, do all of that, but do not overspend on operations and team. Go be smart, be wise, think strategically and carefully, and maximize your profitability. I wish I had done that much earlier. So
So
if you're a course creator, 40, 50% margin, it is possible. Go for it.
I love that. I know that you were not planning on sharing any of that, but I appreciate you so much because I just find that super, super interesting. And I do think that it's not something that's being talked about anywhere near enough in terms of, again, just like how do you create wealth and how do you make your money work for you? So thank you for sharing that. Going back to ads, though, I know that people want to learn more about ads. Where can people find you, and what offers do you have that people can jump into where they can learn ads?
Absolutely. Our most popular best-selling offer, hands down, is our accelerator. That's where we go through. There's one-on-one touch points, so it's less group program, although there are group elements, and it's very much individual, custom to you, less than the cost of like usually what a good agency would charge for 1 month, 12 months of support. And our company is successfuladsclub.com. But I think, Maya, we have a secret link for people that you're going to share, right?
Yes, yes. It'll be linked down in the show notes. Yeah.
Okay, so we passed Maya a secret link. So if you're interested, you can go check out all the details, and that will have some really, really cool bonuses and pricing on there for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, for sharing all about ads and also wealth building too. I appreciate you. And I know that everyone is going to benefit so, so, so much from this episode, but also from your offers too, because I'm inside of there. So I know I can speak from personal experience that it is well worth the investment. And I'm learning so much. And I'm also having so much fun doing it because you make it so easy. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, Maya.